Hey there, how's it going? This is another little dev blog for the month of August. Well, it's the middle of the month, but whatever, right? So I'm just gonna be talking to you guys about kind of what I've been working on, stuff about the patch, stuff about the update, stuff of that sort. So let's get right into it. Since the last one, I put out a combat demo, gave you guys an updated look at where melee combat was. So I worked more on melee combat pretty much right after that video, as I usually do, and that ended up culminating in improving the enemy AI, right? Just going through adding some little mechanics. Like I posted a teaser for one of them, enemy directional indicator. I'll show that on screen now. So it's just a little like red arrow pointing towards a hostile. Okay, pretty normal stuff. Also worked on a little screen shake. Obviously, all of this will be shown off in another combat demo. I was going to try to get that out before this video, but meh. So that'll hopefully come out within like a week or something, right? But basically just working more on melee, getting melee polished up for that alpha test I mentioned last time. So we're going to do an alpha test internally, get the testers hands on, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with melee. I said this in the last combat demo, but I'm pretty happy with where melee is at currently. It needs a little bit more work. It's mostly just like polish at this point in my eyes. The alpha test internally will consist of just like arbitrary damage numbers, like no actual numbers, but just percent. So it'll just be like there's always do 1% of damage on a light attack because, you know, that just works for testing sake, right? So I've been working on the patch that I kind of talked about last month. The patch, like it's very much side development, which is why it's like been happening. Like I've been working on some stuff for it for like the last month or two, pretty much since the last patch. It's basically just any big change I want to make is just being put in the patch. We did put out a little build, like just build 56, which just consisted of some very urgent fixes that I did not think should wait for the patch. They were going to wait for the patch, but then the patch kept getting like pushed back because I was adding things, and I'm like, let me just not do that, because there was literal like stat loss fixes involved, and probably should have released even sooner, but that's beside the point. There's some neat stuff coming in the patch. I'll drop a little bit of that info for you guys. Global chat, that's pretty neat. Finally, that will exist. I won't really get too much into how it will exist, but you will have global chat. You could talk between all the 6 servers, so there will finally be one less thing in the way of choosing whatever server you want to play on, because you won't miss out on the chat, okay? SkyBoxes. For those astute viewers, these have been shown in the last month, like 3 months of stuff. Like they have been in every video I've done and shown in-game footage. Yeah, they have. So that's neat. Not gonna get too much into that, but there's like 14 skyboxes, so they're very cool. They're gonna be basically every skybox will change, but a lot of them will be unique. A lot of them, Namek, Supreme Kai Planet, Rocky, Hellscape, Cat Planet, you know, Beerus's Planet. A lot of those. There's some more I'm not gonna list. That will have to wait till the patch comes out. Okay. Another patch feature: new player list. Here's that on screen because this is a smaller thing. I won't get into too much else about the patch. One final thing though, quick selection, because I want to talk about some changes, because I'm aware a lot of people have a lot of feelings about quick selection, and I'm constantly trying to make it better. So let me explain some of those. One of the changes being made that was suggested by a player, I don't remember their name, feel free to comment down below if it was you, is the ability to hold a number key to use quick selection. So if I'm in like the recovery page, I mean any page, but recovery is a good example, I could press my 2 button to use a recover item. I'll put that on screen now. So that's just a neat little change that's coming in the patch. Additionally, upon someone suggesting, hey, can we get a way to go back to the old action menu, which I explained why I would prefer not to do that, or rather why I won't do that. I had an idea. I was in a call with someone at the moment, and an idea struck me that so last patch we made it so you could press the G key or any of the keys in quick selection. If you hold them, it will take you to your last selection, i.e. transformation button G. If you just hold it, it will take you all the way to transformations. Oh, you went into an alt form? Okay, alt form page, and then it will start you on that. So then you're at the form, but then you have to hold right mouse button or whatever you bind that to go into it. Why? So I'm just gonna make it so if you hold G or the technique button, I think N is default, you'll just go into the form. So full circle moment back to how action menu worked. I know it's crazy. It's a little crazy that it took me this long to get to that idea, but hey, iterations and whatnot. Yeah, so I think that will do a lot to make quick selection feel a lot better right away. So the auto return, you know, when you have quick selection open and it just takes you back to the home page. So first off, for anyone who doesn't know, there's a config. You can configure how long that takes, and you can just turn it off if you want. But on that topic, I'm aware a lot of people tend to just not like it at all, and then they go toggle it off, which is totally fine. That's why the config exists. But I think there's a solution here for me, the game designer, right? I think what we could do, and I want feedback on this, so feel free to comment down below because I'm indecisive on this one. Make it so auto return only happens in combat, okay? So if you're not in combat, it will auto return. If you're in the transformation page, 5 or 7.5 seconds later, it will take you to the home page. Again, still configurable. But if you're in combat, it won't, because first off, let me explain. The reason auto return exists is so your hotbar doesn't get accidentally locked. In testing, we had it not auto returning, and people would be like, I can't use my hotbar, and I'm like, dude, quick selection's on. And they're like, oh. So it was kind of like there needed to be some kind of way where like this thing auto turns off. But in combat, you don't need your hotbar. Healing items were put in the recovery item thing in quick selection. Everything you need in combat is in quick selection. That's like the point of it. So why not just make it so in combat you don't auto return? You don't go back to, because if you're like realistically, you're going to be sitting on the heal page because you're going to be healing relatively often. So your option to keep that open is turn it off, of course. But like if you leave it on, which is default, you'll just be stuck having to press the B key to keep it open, or having to heal often to keep it open, which obviously we don't want heal spamming. So like that's an odd thing. So I think making it so in combat auto return doesn't happen, and out of combat it happens, and then it's still configurable. Both of these options will probably be config options themselves. I think that's a cool idea. Leave your feedback down below, please. Some other neat little things for the patch. I know I said I wasn't going to say anything else, but this one's just cool. There's some changes to character slot switching. So, you know, classic data not saved. I'm sure we all get this. If you use character slots at all, you're going to get this. I'm adding another redundancy to that, so maybe it's fixed. I'm not going to say it's fixed because I've thought that many of times, but it will process the data better. And there's an extra catch that it can have to, oh, this couldn't confirm it. Okay, let's check this way instead. You know, there's like 3 checks for it now because, you know, they're not all perfect checks. So I also don't know if I've said this in a video, but I've definitely talked about this extensively on like the last 2 podcasts I did, which again, podcast is on hiatus just because I don't feel like doing it. But I've talked about this on the podcast. Controller support is going to be natively in a well, not natively, but it will be in the mod pack. I made a mod called Analog Joy for the specific purpose of controller support on 1.7 because I like controller support a lot and I play games with the controller. So I was like, let me do this. And it's obviously cool for like, from your guys' perspective. I'm sure there's tons of you that will like that, but it's going to come probably in the patch. Depends. But it's a standalone mod. It was going to be baked into the Apollo client, but then I'm like, why not just let people use it on 1.7? So it's going to have support for DBC, Vanilla, and Apollo by default. You'll have different config sets for all of those, and then probably other mods in the future if I so choose. But it's turning out pretty cool so far. It's very well functional. It's just in the polishing stage, looking into getting buttons showing on screen, all those cute little things. So it's pretty nice so far. You'll be able to, you know, controller support and whatnot. Like it's actually active on my client right now, because I just leave that controller plugged in. So it's kind of, you know. Anyway, so that's gonna be very cool. There will be a whole video about that, which I recorded like the voiceover 2 months ago, because I've been like working on this stuff since March, and then it's just like, oh, work on it here, month later work on it, month later work on it. So it's just like slowly progressing because it's the side project. It wasn't even like it was being worked on before the patch back in May, so it's totally just a side project, and when it comes out, it comes out. I'm very excited for it, though, because I think it's going to be sick. Controller support. And even more so with combat update, because, well, we're going to talk about combat update right now, but controller support and combat update is very nice because, you know, it's more of a fighting game, so it's going to work out pretty well. But let's talk about, so in talking about the combat update, one thing I want to talk about is the melee stuff. Melee is what I've been mostly working on, just refining that for these combat demos, so I can show you guys where it's at, because that's a good, like, aiming to get a video out is a good motivator for me personally to work towards. So I usually am like, okay, I'm working on combat demo 15 now. What do I want to do for that video to be better than the last video? Because, duh. So I probably expect another combat demo this month showing off Melee. That'll be pretty neat. Maybe we jump back to Key after that. Some of the most notable things, I don't know if I even talked about this in the last one, but I did a lot of work to, about a month ago now, I did some work to improve the animation pipeline, because basically when I first coded it, I did it the very bad reading a text document line by line manually through the code. So then I refined it to actually use the JSON format that it's in. I learned how to read JSON files. Well, I didn't learn how to read them. I figured out how the code can read them. So that's super easy because it's object oriented. That's very good. Along with letting it read multiple animations in one file. So that just makes the animator's life easier and my life easier, because I could just have one file with a whole combat style rather than punch 1, punch 2, punch 3, punch 4, punch 1 impact. There's like 15 animations for one style so far. So yeah, that was going to be very annoying to manage, and it already was. So that streamlined that process a lot. Very happy about that. I do want to give a shout out to all of you guys as the players for all of your support and everything in the combat update we've been working on. You guys have been a great motivator for this combat update. Like, genuinely, whenever I put out these videos, I put out teasers and whatever, and I see you guys just being like all hyping it up in the comments, doing all those, you know, just supportive, amazing things. It feels really good. It's a very, very big boost to motivation for me. So I greatly appreciate all you guys for that. So I want to thank you guys all for watching this video. I'm quite enjoying doing this little, like, just recap of what I've worked on the last month, because it is very interesting, as opposed to what I've done in the past, where usually at most I talk about what I'm working on in like the last 2 updates, effectively MP3 and GT. It would usually just consist of, here's a devlog talking about this feature. And while I would obviously talk about development publicly, it wasn't like literally a video, like a mainline video, like super direct talking about it. So I think I like this shake up a lot. It's been very nice to just keep in touch with you guys very closely, just like constantly show you what I'm working on and all those neat little things. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. You know, hard at work on the combat update, doing my best to push for this. So do expect another combat demo, number 15, coming out. It'll likely be on Melee again, showing more of that, fighting an NPC and those kind of nuances. So look forward to that. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for watching this video. See you in the next one.